Whew. All right. All right, all right, all right. We're doing this thing called consistency, and I love it. Okay, we need to talk about it. I know you hate your coworkers, and you hate them even more now because you believe they're on the other side. Maybe you even know that they're on the other side because you have heard them speak and engage, and their viewpoint's just a little too wonky. It's not really giving what it needs to give. It's not giving teamwork. It's not giving alignment. It's not giving collaboration. It's giving privilege. And that irks your spirit. I get it. I get it. So let's talk it through. The way that you're feeling is not any different from most compassionate people right now. Most compassionate people right now are scratching their heads. I'm literally scratching my head, but scratching their heads because we need to be more in alignment and collaboration than we need to be divided. Ironically, we live in the United States and nothing of the sort is actually united. Well, you're here. We need to talk it through. You're probably carrying grief, resentment, and it could be a quiet anger leading up to a loud anger. Like nobody say the wrong thing today. Nobody say or do the wrong thing today. I get that. But you know that some of the outcomes in acting in that way might make you lose your job, lose credibility, and livelihood, and taking a paycheck home every single week is more important than giving them the satisfaction. That was for you, okay? That was for you. Hold on. So I think you need to name what's being held in this emotional container, if you will. This container, imagine a lid on top of here. What's in the container? Is it grief? Is it anger? Is it resentment? Confusion? Because you can have all. It's not just one emotion that you're holding right now. It could be several emotions that you're holding right now. And that's okay. But you need to name it. You need to name it and you need to imagine that it's here in this cup. I'm holding it for you. Look, I'm holding it for you in this session. Okay. But these are directed internally because where you're working, it doesn't feel like a safe place to process your emotions. In fact, you're trained and expected to maintain a united view amongst the organizational culture. And if you really aren't bought into that, then chances are you're not really doing it that well. And if you think you're doing it that well, it might be seeping out here and there. I mean, you're with these people for 40 plus hours a week. It might be seeping out in which you found your tribe. You know your alliances. You know the people that you can vibe with, you can decompress with. You can just be like, look, Sally had me messed up today. I know that you already do that. But understand that's also because there's not a safe place to process your emotions. So there's a tension. There's this tension that you're feeling. And by expressing it is not actually being unprofessional, it's actually making you more human. And the people avoiding expressing their emotions, that's actually an inhumane activity. We have both the logic and emotional brain. You can't operate within one without expressing in the other. Suppression leads to outbursts, and those outbursts are dangerous. Those outbursts are dangerous because if you aren't regulating your emotions well, you can do something incredibly violent, in which we've seen some crazy stuff here in Minnesota just within the last week and a day. Rest in peace, Renee Good. When people are not processing their emotions, it will come out one way or another. I want you to know you can be committed to working through these things and still be deeply impacted every single day. There's no actual maturity level in which you arrive at a point. There's always just a processing. It's like a loop. And each loop is different. Each loop presents a new challenge that you need to grow from. But you have to name what emotions that you feel. Right now, you don't trust anyone. You don't trust anyone because we're taught in our workplaces to keep politics outside of the workplace. If you're not in a social impact organization, chances are no one's really talking about it. And if you are at a social impact organization and you feel differently, you might feel like, "Oh, let me just keep this to myself." But that's because there's a lot that we actually do not know from each other about contextual experiences that make us believe in what we do. For example, I just had a call with one of my friends today, and she brought up Governor Walz and the child daycare fraud. And if you're here in Minnesota, you know that it's more than just, oh, let's blame it on him. No. In fact, it's a very small group in hindsight of the larger people that benefit and administer that childcare support that make a deeper impact in our community, in communities of color and within immigrants. But we're only signaling one part because that's one part of the story, and that's what we can like circle in on. Now, I say all that to say is sometimes what's behind that is heated emotions based on our bias, our bias. And I'll be honest, I can be very biased. I can be very biased, but what I try to do is understand other perspectives. In fact, I've sought to try to understand. Because if your point of view is not built on hate and it's built on true concern, which is, in this case, for many of us, was allocating funds appropriately to people that need it, that's a valid concern. And when it's misappropriately handled, there has to be repercussions, right? But the problem is they're picking up and choosing anyone they think fits how they feel about the situation, meaning ICE agents don't even have a clear target. They're just doing whatever they want to do. So if we were kind of to look at that context, I think we have to see that what maybe started with a positive intention and sorting it through led to a greater impact. And that's where all of us have to look at that. All of us have to look at the impact. Our intentions can mean something really good, really beneficial. Of course, we have people whose intentions aren't good, and you know that. It's built with hate, but there is resentment in the midst of intention and impact because many people knew what's a possibility of destruction towards the latter half of this outcome, and that's what we're experiencing. So we have to really try to understand not only what our intention and our thoughts are, but challenging it enough to be open to whatever the outcomes are observing and to be careful with the danger of a single story. A single story without looking at the other viewpoint That's where the bias is, because it's only letting you see one view. So that's all you're going off of. And for a lot of us who engage in groupthink, and I get it, you're tired, you trust that person wholeheartedly, but you don't know them. You don't know them. And you have to do due diligence and seeking truth, trying to understand. And just hearing from one person about it, we all know that there is a problem with that, because when people are judging you and they don't know the whole story, you want to explain everything because you want the context to matter. But you have to extend that to other people as well. And in the workplace, where we say it's no politics allowed, it's not politics anymore. This is just about humanity. And I think if we really were to sit down and try to understand each other's point of view without being apprehensive to learning and without being too triggered, that's a skill, Brittany. I know it's a skill, but it's necessary to try to help each other grow and evolve. We are meant to grow and evolve. We're not there at a consensus where we all are regulated here. We're just too hot and bothered. Me too. There are certain topics that I have yet to overcome, but I'm actively working on it. And I know what those triggers are, and I know what I need to do to work through that. Not to get over it, but to work through it. So, what emotion has surprised you so far this week? What emotion in your body just keeps coming up over and over and over again? I want you to write it in the chat. I want you to write it down as well. What emotion is that? And I want you to circle it. Now I want you to ask yourself where that's coming from. And I want you to write that down and circle it. Then I want you to ask yourself where that came from, and then circle it. All the way down to 5 circles of where that came from till you get to the bottom. I want you to notice where that tension lies in your body right now. I want you to ask yourself, is that even really about people at work, or is it what they represent to you? Because we're all mirrors to each other. So what is coming up that somebody is mimicking from you, and you are holding it, you're absorbing it? Now I want you to think about how you would help yourself through that challenge. What advice could you offer yourself if at the 5th, where is that coming from? If at the 5th, where is that coming from, is something simple that you can do for yourself that is about growth and development. Is it a mature conversation? Is it about finding a way to collaborate in the midst of not understanding that person? Now, I know what you're going to say, Brittany, we just do not get along. That's point blank. I don't deal with them unless I have to. And I get it. I really do. I think what matters most is the grace that we offer ourselves first, and we continue to extend that to other beings. Some people are hoping and praying that you stay fixed so that they can stay fixed, so that they can be stubborn because you're stubborn, because they don't know how to process their emotions and you're over here processing your emotions, but you're not giving space to collaborate in that way. Our insecurities that we have, they show on our face, in our decision making, and on our sleeves. And you don't need to be the one. You don't need to be the one. You need to be the light. You need to be the light in the darkness. You don't need to be petty Patty. You need to be the light. Because light kills darkness. Love kills hate. When you're lacking information about a person, it's because you haven't gotten that information. You don't have that context. You know nothing about it. You need to get to know more information. You need to be curious. You need to ask questions. Don't build up stories in your mind over these assumptions. Go and learn more. Try to understand. Challenge your own assumptions. Challenge your assumptions over your values. Challenge your assumptions over what your brain feels like is safe and unsafe. And I'm talking about not physical threats. I'm talking about threats in vulnerable conversations, trying to understand that kind of thing, because pride gets in the way. Try to find commonalities based on those values that you know eventually you can get to, because maybe there's a central value that you can develop. You can work with them on building up. Not understanding a person just builds a story in your mind. It just builds a story in your mind. And I'm going to be honest right now, we love telling stories. I love a good story. You know what I mean? But what's the motivation behind the story? That's safety. That's to give us a sense of security, like we know what we're talking about. But sometimes we really don't know. We really don't know what we're talking about. And I could be the first one to say that. Sometimes I jump the gun and I say or act in a way that in hindsight I moved a little too quickly. So I want you to know that what I'm asking you to do is really not for the weak. It's not also for the folks that are just in the beginning of trying to figure out, where they're at. And it might not be the right time for you. Honestly, it just might not be the right time for you, but you have to know in the back of your mind, if this resurfaces, it's like an invitation to keep growing and to keep going and to create new loops of understanding both yourself and others, because they're preying on your ignorance, on both sides. Doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on. They're preying on ignorance and hate as a division. If you took yourself out of this whole situation and you were going to look at it from the top down, what is the root cause of this? What is the root cause of this disagreement? Plainly, power, control. That's all it is power and control. And we are all being placed as puppets no matter where you see it. And the only way to defeat that is to be in community. And I know it's tough because I like to isolate myself. I do. I pretty much love doing that. But because of the work that I do, it's imperative that I work with teams and people that I know and expect that they'll disagree, but that I know we can find some commonality where we can start. And yes, it does take two. It's not just you, but you can be the light. You can be the light. You can be the light. Understand that you have to challenge your mindset. You have to stretch yourself. If you're called to greater than yourself, then you can't live in your bubble alone. You got to make room for other people to sit in it with you, which means you need people to challenge you. You need people to hold you accountable to your goals in life. You can't just sit behind your screen or your desk You can't sit behind a monitor and just let your life go by because you can't challenge yourself because you're holding grudges. Pain affects you more than those around you. We know because we see what pain does to another person. It eats them up just like an illness. Now, top that off with an actual physical illness, and it speeds up your process for a prolonged health issues. We know this. We know this. This isn't me making it up. Go look up this. So work on healing yourself, work on forgiveness, but work on trying to understand. And it's a journey. It's not overnight. And you can say, Brittany, I don't have time for this right now. I just feel a great sense of grief and frustration and angst. But that's all bottled up in one. Remember, I told you about this container. Just take out one at a time. Imagine that you're just taking out disappointment right now. Okay? Work through your disappointment in this jar. And then when you kind of figure that out, you might need to put it back and process it another time. But don't let social media and doom scrolling and talking and gossiping just be the thing that you continue to harvest. Because the more you do that, again, it affects your physical health, your spiritual, mental, and emotional health as well. And honestly, take naps. Take naps. I promise you, if you can, if you're able to, take a nap. Because maybe that can help you relieve some of the tension that you're experiencing that's in your body. I want you to know that the people that you work with all are struggling with the same thing, just on opposing sides based on how they were raised, based on what their beliefs are, how their family's constructed, the groups that they're a part of. These are all influencing our decisions. And some of us think that the real threat is each other. And it's actually the system that was built to break us. It's not each other, it's the system put in place. These messages are not brand new messages. These systems were put in place by humans that took a step back and said, let's just let it play out the way that we anticipate it. And they're going to win if you do not see it differently. Some of the people that you disagree with, it's just because you came off on the wrong foot. Somebody came in a little too hot. You didn't know them, so you got offended. We're going to continue to offend each other. I just hope you know. I'm going to offend you. You're going to offend me. I'm going to have a little offensive feeling about it, but I need to work through that because maybe we did get off on the wrong foot. Maybe we do disagree on certain things, but what value do we have in common? What value do we have in common? We have to search deeply. I did a group exercise, a team exercise today with two folks where I said, name your top 3 to 5 values and how you live that out personally and professionally. What is it? What's your definition? Because you and I, respect means 2 different things. We do not have the same definition of respect. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but we won't know unless we communicate and try to understand. And then all we really need to have is one value that holds us together. You don't need to have everyone. Not everybody is your people. They're in community with you, but they don't have to be your people. Okay? I want you to know that it's about collaboration and communication. That's the name of the game, collaboration and communication, because the system is working well because people came together to collaborate and communicate that. And that's what they're banking on, is everyone else just running around doing whatever they want to do. And they're going to keep doing that if we are looking and pointing the finger at each other. Let's actually point to the system and how we break the system, because it's probably more simpler than you think it is. It's just we haven't gotten there. As a community, we have not gotten there. Do not disengage from this process. Do not disengage from trying to understand, even when you disagree. You can work alongside of each other and still disagree at times. It's possible. You do not need to agree on everything. You can feel frustrated with them and still be in community with them. You can still hold each other accountable with the relationship that you're building. You might need to establish boundaries here and there, but at the same time, you need to be open to developing the communication and the mutual accountability so that boundaries can be in place and something that both parties understand and have positive regard towards, that they will uphold that strength on a one-to-one basis too, because um, you can't just copy paste that into all your relationships. They all require something different. Okay. The goal is really to focus on regulation, not resolution all the time. We don't need to solve every one of our disagreements. We need to regulate the way that we approach the situation and how we hold positive regard towards each other in holding space for two different dualities, two different realities. And that's okay. It's hard. It's hard, but it's going to take time for us to remove the hardened heart that we have towards humans and towards our coworkers and people that, like, you don't deserve me today. It's going to take time for you to give yourself a process, but you're not betraying yourself by focusing on community. In fact, you're helping yourself grow. And it feels threatening at first, but over time, give yourself grace and you'll see a better version of yourself. It's about collective healing, and that starts with you. You are a huge instrumental puzzle piece. So don't think you need to resolve everything tonight. This might be the first time. You might need to actually rewind this, go to the beginning, and actually work through this yourself. And then let me know months down when you resurface this video where you're at. I'd love to hear it. All right. Good night. Peace.